afternoon, everybody. How are you?
Hi, well,
Excellent. Now, we're really, really excited to be kicking off the second of our Gap Year webinars after the huge success of the 2021 model. We're sort of shot of COVID, and we're very, very excited to be talking to you guys in 2022 and to hear all about gap years and plannings and stuff that you're doing, experiences you've had with people and what have you. So we've got Lucy Breeden and Jessica Stewart from Trailfinders. We've got Millie Whitehead from the Loop, and we've got Roger Solway joining us for the first time from Oyster Worldwide, which is very exciting. I'm going to ask you all to introduce yourselves, just literally 40 seconds on who you are and what you do. Let's go for Millie first.
Right, first up. Okay, so what do we do? Right, the Leap specializes pretty much in providing team travel, volunteering and adventure programs. But we also now provide gap year consultations for the independent traveller so that they don't make kind of rookie errors and they come back safe and sound. That's what we do.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's very concise. I like that. That's not even 40 seconds. Roger.
Right, well, we aim, as an overall, we aim to have the best of what there is out there. So it's quite a range of things that we do, although we are small. So the most popular is paid work, ski seasons in Canada particularly. Working in Australia, we've had some paid teachers in Thailand. And then the other side to us is a range of conservation projects with any animal ranging from a bear, turtle, sharks, lions, elephants in various countries around the world. And the other side is sports coaching, so and that's in South Africa. That's very popular too. So we do lots of different things, but we like to think we do them well, and they're the very best projects that there are out there.
Fantastic. And Lucy and Jess, I mean, everyone knows about Trailfinders, but maybe you can dispel the myths and just give us a concise history.
I'll give you a bit of an overview as to who Trailfinders are. So we are the experts in tailor-making itineraries worldwide, and we're the UK and Ireland's leading independent tour operator. So founded back in 1970 by Sir Mike Gooley, company actually still remains privately owned. So we've got 41 travel centres, actually soon to be 43, and they're located throughout UK and Ireland, and they are staffed by some of the most expert travel consultants in the industry. So we offer a wide range of flights, tours, hotels, hostels, car, motorhome, volunteer projects pretty much across the globe, and kind of from budget to luxury. So our product offering is very vast. Yeah. We're pretty much your one-stop shop, so all your travel needs, including visa applications, insurance, immunisations, to our travel clinic. We're kind of here to assist with everything. And the Trailfinders Travel Academy, that is our student and gap year program, which basically offers itineraries from guided group touring, volunteer projects, independent travel, meaning we can basically create a once-in-a-lifetime gap year trip.
Brilliant. 39.5 seconds. That's genius. Well done. So look, I mean, we've prepared for this by speaking to a lot of our parent members. And actually, I'm in not a unique position at all, but I'm in a position of having my youngest son, who's preparing for a gap year, has no idea what he's going to do. He's going to go to South America, but who knows? So we come up with a lot of questions from them. And so maybe we'll touch on a few of those now and get some advice from the experts. So Millie, I'm going to come to you first. Thinking of my son, right? I'm going on a gap year, I don't know where to go. How do we know what sort of traveller you are as a gap year, potential gap year student? How do you know what you want to do?
Well, so what we've started doing is we've started doing these gap year consultations to help people just like your son. And we very much get the parents involved in it too. And it's not what type of traveller are you, it's kind of the level of how confident are you? Yeah, so do you really want to just arrive in Bogota and just crack on? You know, do you really, is that, you know, meet your needs? You want to just go hostel hopping, you know, be completely in control of your own needs and off you go. And a lot of people say, yeah, but could I do something kind of oh, I don't know. And then you soon kind of realize that they're actually not that confident. And actually what would be really good is that they have something set up to start their gap year travels, whether it's a volunteering project with Rog where they go independently to work in a wildlife sanctuary, or they go in a team with us, or they go on a Trailfinders, you know, fully flexed tour, just so that when they land, they get picked up, they have a little bit of guidance so they can find their feet in the first few weeks. And I think that is really critical. And it, you know, parents are often involved in that conversation because it is a parent and kid decision for them to say, actually, you might be happy to just fly off to the deep, darkest Colombia, but actually I'm going to be really stressed as a mum for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So could we meet halfway? And that's what I kind of mean by what type of traveller are you? What level of confidence are you? What type of structure do you need? What are your needs to make your landing at the beginning of your gap year, you know, to fit your needs, so you don't freak out on day one in Bogota when somebody rogue enters your hostel and, you know, and you can see how it unfolds.
I would imagine that's girls and boys are very different on that. I know for a fact my middle son is in Mexico at the moment, and he's bumped into a group of girls who know what they're doing literally day by day. Yeah. You know, he's arriving and when he's leaving, that's about it. So it's very individual. It's a very good point. And so Lucy and Jessica, there's lots of choice out there. You know, how do you know what to choose? Where do you go? How do you know to choose what to choose from?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There is a lot of choice, which is really exciting, but obviously it can be really daunting as well. Obviously not just for the person traveling, but obviously the parents as well. And it's very much, where do you start? So obviously from a Trailfinders point of view, we can create lots of different itineraries, very much based on what Millie was just saying there, on their level of kind of confidence really, and what is it that they're wanting to get out of the trip. Do they feel more confident? Do they want to have a bit more independent travel? Or do they want to go on something which is kind of a bit more guided group and structured for them? So for us, we would always say doing some research from the start is key. We've got the Trailfinders Travel Academy brochure, which is full of really inspiring products and itineraries to try and narrow that down. But what we've tried to do as well is to help with it is we've created the 5 pillars, which are basically 5 different gap year styles of traveling. So you've got your group adventure tours, you've got the independent travel, you've got volunteer projects, working abroad, or learn a skill. Now, you might just not want to do one of those styles, but something might jump out of one of those. So then that kind of can help you decide which kind of avenue you want to go down. And our travel consultants, you know, they are so well trained. They've travelled to 96% of the world, which is just incredible. So you're very likely to be speaking to somebody who has done what you've already done. You know, they may have done it a few years ago, they may have done it 10 years ago, but they're full of expertise and can kind of guide them into what they want to do.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I picked up on the independent travel or the group travel. Yeah. Most, again, I've got boys, they seem to want to go together because they can't work on their own. But Roger, individual travel and sort of working overseas, you're kind of a bit of a specialist on that. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, one of the advantages of it is that you join a project that is ongoing. So you go up to monkey rehabilitation in the Kruger. They've been doing it for 20 years, and you hit the ground pretty much running. You're also welcomed with open arms by people who've been there for a couple of weeks and want a bit of fresh blood. The challenge is on the plane when you're thinking, will they like me? I'm on my own, although often they're not on their own because there are 2 or 3 going at the same time. So I think that, yeah, the joy of it is that you don't have to go through the whole creating a group and the dynamics, and you're getting straight down to it. I think the other thing is that it forces you to make friends from people that you've never normally met. I mean, I don't pretend against going with a brother or friend or anything else. I mean, that's very good as well. But that's what people say. They say, "Wow, you know, I didn't think I'd be friends with all these people on the first sort of minute or two." And actually, we're doing other things. So it's a little bit. It may feel a little bit more adventurous, but in some ways it's not, because you've got the support and an established thing that you're going into.
I get that totally. And actually, there are so few opportunities I find when people can really spread their wings and meet new people. Since they go to university, they live with old schoolmates, right? So I mean, nothing really changes. So, so Millie, I mean, in terms of the group experiences, tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, well, just going back to what you know, one of the things to avoid with the kids, like with your son, is that what you really want to try and avoid the kids doing is just looking at what their peers have done and thinking, okay, that looks really good. Like, you know, this year and last year, because of COVID, it's all about Central America and a little bit of South America this year. So that's all their interest. That's all they see. And they think, yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that. And it's actually, you know, getting back to the kids going, is that really what you want to do? What about Asia? What about here? And forcing them to look beyond just what their peers have done and the backpacker trail, which they all do, and they all meet each other going up and down on this route. And it's just like, come on, guys, get off the route.
Yeah, to add to that, I always say to people, if you're going to have 3 months, 6 months, a whole year off, this is your chance to go well off the beaten track, to go down to Patagonia, to go to Australia and America in your life, and you have a great time. And you might even live somewhere else like that. But you know, push the frontiers. Go somewhere that you've barely heard of. Done a bit of research before you go, and be a bit original. Don't just. There's so much you can learn from it, and I think one of the things you learn from it is feeling that you are a bit of a pioneer, and you're not just trying to follow a mold and
Try and be original.
Same Instagram pictures, you know, have a different set.
So Colombia, for example, so we have this, you know, Colombia kind of has its bad boy reputation, but it's really kind of this year in particular, loads and loads of people are starting to go. And that's absolutely fantastic. And there's a set trail, which they all do, Bogota up to the coast, Cartagena, Santa Marta, back, that's great. But it's, you know, that is just the backpacker stuff. And if you know, do a kind of volunteering program or an adventure, you know, you can really go off grid and meet authentic culture, people that live there, not just serving the tourist. And so, for example, my son this year, we sent him off to Colombia and said, okay, you can go and do whatever you want, but you're going to spend 2 weeks with our guides, you know, in the butt end nowhere of Colombia. And they taught these canyons, they, you know, taught rugby to the local kids and and they were totally off grid. And it's like, now that is slightly kind of more authentic than just going, you know, having a full moon party at the coast of Colombia, which by all means do, but try and do something.
There's so many good experiences out there, isn't there? It's just it's narrowing down what you want to do. You know, for some people that, you know, doing their off the grid experiences is what really gets them excited. But then you've got other people that just want to do the kind of the key sites that everybody's, you know, kind of done. But they obviously are doing it because they, you know, they should be seen. So yeah, it's that kind of, the world is really your oyster in a way. It's just deciding where and kind of how long you want to be away for.
Good, like that. The world is your oyster, or the other way around. I think interestingly that's why it's actually really handy to have the likes of you guys around, because I know as a parent, you know, trying to persuade your children, specifically boys, to do anything out of the blooming ordinary is quite difficult, because they just want the easiest path of least resistance mostly. But so it's a really interesting point, actually, and you know, you'd like to think they pick up on that. Roger, you talked a little bit earlier about skiing. You get involved with that, and how's that changed with Brexit?
It's changed dramatically. I mean, there were tens of thousands of Brits who go off and have a wonderful season in the Alps. The big ski companies literally bus them over there. There's no paperwork, and they go into work. That can't happen now if you haven't got an EU passport. The only way around it is if you get sponsored as a nanny, or maybe you did a season before and they know who you are, and they'll go through the hassle of getting over that. So that has changed things. We've always done Canada for 20 odd years, and there's a massive surge in interest in that. It's easier to go and do a season in Canada than it is in in the Alps. And I think just to plug Canada a bit, the joy of it is it's longer. The alpine season is just about Christmas to just about Easter. If you go somewhere, if you go in the Rockies, for instance, you're skiing from November right through to May. So you get longer. You're in a different continent. The attitudes are very different, and some in terms of customer care, they're well known for being very good. So I think in CV terms, it certainly adds interest. And I think if you're pressed in an interview, you come out with some pretty good examples of how you've gone the extra mile if you're working in a hotel or working on the lifts or whatever. And I think the other thing with Canada is although it's a long way away, it's actually quite familiar because they still have the Queen. They love Brits. Many of them are Brits and proud to say that that's where they started. And they're a very liberal country, very green. And people usually, when we ask them what was the hardest thing about it, they go, well, it was leaving, and how can I get back there?
Yeah, interesting. Lucy and Jess, what's your view on combining? I'd be a massive fan of combining work and travel on your gap year.
Yeah, I think work and travel, it really is dependent on the individual, and it may be that some people have to work to travel, and at some point within their gap year perhaps they need to earn a little bit of money to continue on their travels. And with that, there are lots of options on how you can kind of combine that into your gap year. So whether it be you decide to arrange that before you leave the country, so perhaps you want to know you've got confirmed work, or maybe it's something that you decide to do once you're overseas to then obviously, like I say, fund to continue. Either way, for ourselves, we can obviously assist with that for our clients. So we work with reputable suppliers such as Boonac or Travelbud, who they can basically provide work prior to departure, so such as teaching English as a foreign language, or perhaps working at one of the summer camps in America, or a ski season in Canada, say, as well. Obviously that isn't for everybody, but that's just to kind of give you a bit of an idea of what is possible as part of a gap year. We also can assist with the likes of working holiday visas for Australia. So we do have a visa team that can assist with that. So that might be that perhaps the traveller is wanting to spend some time going through Asia, but knows at some point they are going to have to fund their trip to continue the way back sort of around the world. So with that, we can assist with arrival packs so that when they kind of arrive into destination, they've got accommodation sorted, they know how to explore, and they've also then got assistance looking for work on the ground. So it isn't that they've got a job confirmed before, but they know that there is the opportunity to do so when they're there and the visa is in place. So quite recently we ran a working holiday visa campaign in South Australia, offered 200 lucky people sort of the opportunity to travel to Adelaide for a £10 airfare, which was unbelievable, actually £10. So we do work with all kind of the major tourist boards and regularly offer amazing deals with these opportunities to maybe look at working as part of your gap year. So we're signing up to our mailing list, so you're a first-hand knowledge of these things.
Most people, we would advise most people to work in England, just earn as much money as you can before you go. So yeah. Finish school, have a great summer, 1st of September, get that job, aim to earn minimum 300 quid a week, start saving, squirreling it away, work right up to Christmas, mid-January, and then go. Because if you're traveling through Central, South America or Africa, you're not going to get a paid job. You could perhaps get an exchange for grafting, for board and lodging. But, people ring here and say, do you think I can get a job in a surf camp? It's like, no, but you can clean their loos and do the washing up, and maybe they'll give you a free bed. But realistically, you're not going to get a job. This is money overseas.
This is a bit of a how long's a bit of string type question, but how much do you think someone should be saving for a gap year?
Minimum, I would advise, if you're independently traveling, to do 1 month in one country and £1,000 per country, and it averages out.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I think it does vary. I think it really does depend on what the person's wanting to do when they're in destination as well, though. If you've got somebody that's all about doing the activities and the experiences, then obviously they're going to need to have a higher budget than somebody that might just kind of, you know, prefer just doing walking tours at their own leisure and by themselves. So I think it just varies, and it obviously depends on the destination as well. You know, we know some places are a much better value, you know, food accommodation wise, if they're doing it independently. But obviously from a guided group touring point of view as well, like that is always a nice option as well. You know, for some of those tours you can have quite a bit of stuff included, but at the same time some of them will keep it a bit more bare bones, so you've got that independence as well, but you're traveling with a group. So again, I think it depends on the style of touring that you're doing.
Okay.
That's in here. I mean, one of the myths, I think, is when I talk sort of, you know, informally to friends of friends and neighbours, they go, well, of course, I couldn't afford to spend £3,000 doing a 12-week programme in South Africa. I am convinced that they will spend a lot more than that by just travelling around, doing trips, taxis, arriving late at a hotel. If you're in one place and you're fed, you're watered, you're having a sociable time, actually, you don't tend to spend that much money, particularly if you're on a conservation project in the middle of the Kruger, or you're tucked away from towns. So it's I would say a plus for doing, as Millie was saying, do something organised to start with, and then then you get your newfound confidence.
The £1,000 budget, that is for the backpacker, who basically is budgeting a hostel, probably only 2 meals a day, as much alcohol as they can drink, and maybe the odd adventure per month, you know. So that's your kind of basic entry level, you know, for somebody that's just wanting to you know, go on the backpacker route. But yeah, if you want to go off grid, if you want to have, you know, amazing experiences all planned for you, which you can't get as a backpacker, then clearly that is more expensive and worth it.
Okay. Note to self: get sun working fast.
Yes.
Okay. Just okay. So, for a parent, when should we start planning this? So let's say they're finishing school in July. They're probably going to work, hopefully, let's say in the UK for 2 or 3 months till Christmas, and they're going to go in January. I'm guessing that's a standard format. When should you start planning that kind of stuff, Millie?
Well, I wouldn't even begin to have the conversation with them now, because they're doing their exams. They're then going to party hard. The penny starts dropping, and the panic when they see everybody else going back to school, and they're thinking, oh my God, I've got nothing planned for the whole of the year. So September.
Okay.
At the end of August, September, that's when we get most of our bookings to depart in January. And probably by the mid of October, our programs are full.
Okay.
So
we're slightly different, particularly if you want to go to Canada, because the visas are launched in January usually. In some years they run out by May. So yeah, we get people when that happens saying, in September, can I go? They go, well, no, you can't, because you haven't got a visa. So there are, I think your question was thinking about it, I would say start thinking about it really a year before. You probably don't need to part with any money until closer to the time, unless you want to go to Canada. Even Australia, the visa can take a bit of time, we found. And of course, then there's getting a passport. If you haven't got a passport, you've got to wait a few months. So just think about it early, but yes, book it. You can book most things quite last minute. But of course, the joy of any kind of travel, I think, or holidays, is the expectation of it. So don't book at the date, the week before, the month before. You know, enjoy that 6 months. I'm going to sweat through my A levels or university, and I'm 90% sure this is what I'm going to do when I finish. And you've got that sort of incentive to get you through.
No, I get that. Jess and Lucy, that you're nodding there about getting passports and stuff. I'm guessing times that are strange with us, and Brexit and COVID and whatever's going on at the moment, getting passports and COVID requirements and all that is difficult. What are you finding are the big problems at the moment with travelling?
To be honest, obviously, COVID has been such a fluid situation that it's brought a number of challenges in terms of, obviously, country restrictions are constantly changing. However, touch wood, for the better at the moment. We've seen more and more restrictions, dropping away, which has been great. Obviously, the USA only this week has just announced, no testing needed on arrival, which is fantastic. So from our side of things, it's keeping on top of all the updates. We rely heavily on like the FCDO advice, which we would always recommend clients to refer to. However, from our side of things, we constantly keep our clients updated with the latest kind of COVID entry requirements. We always advise at booking stage what visas they need, what immunisations they need, and if there is any changes in terms of entry requirements, that will be documented through their kind of online itinerary. So there are challenges, but I would definitely say it's not something that should deter anybody from booking a trip, because there's always the tools to keep everybody up to date.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Now, and let's talk about safety and all that. We're sending our little angels off to travel the world on their own. My son's mate's already been mugged day one in Barcelona on the Ramblers. What would you, let's go back to the Trailfinders gang. What would you suggest for sort of security or payments and stuff like that?
Yeah, so from kind of like a cash perspective and credit cards and things like that, we would definitely recommend that people travel with kind of two means of kind of payment, whether that be a credit card and say one of the cash cards that you can get money uploaded to. Obviously, we don't want anybody to be mugged or anything like that, or have anything stolen, but these things can happen. So it's always good to have two ports of call in terms of being able to access money. Yeah. We would definitely recommend not traveling with too much cash. We all know that's just really just is going to attract somebody to you. But yeah, just making sure that you've got access to funds at all times by different means, and also having some emergency funds available, even if that's something that needs to be, say, bank transferred to you or uploaded to your cash card by, a parent or somebody at home.
Okay, interesting. All right. Now, I'm going to wrap up soon, but what I'm going to ask you individually, rucksack essentials. What's the 5 things you put in a gap year rucksack, Millie?
Oh, well, our top tip, this is the best thing I've always done, is you take a single duvet cover.
Oh,
right. And people go, what? Take the duvet? No, not the duvet, but you take the single duvet cover instead of a sleeping bag liner, which are overpriced, too short and too narrow. So you take the single duvet cover, you climb in, and if you're in a mosquito infested place, you could do the poppers up round your neck. Plenty of space. Best thing ever.
Love that. Love that.
That's good.
And packing pubes.
I would, if it's just one, I would probably go for a phone charger, battery. Keep it topped up so you're not out of touch. I would also probably go for a second pair of dark glasses. I just know people who've had a very bad time through buying cheap dark glasses because they've lost them. So a second pair is good. And also, it's important to get the right pair because they'll be in lots of photos. But don't forget to ensure you've got a good pair in the first place. But take the second pair.
I like that. Mm-hmm. Jess and Lucy, what would you say?
Flip-flops. You've got to pack flip-flops. Even if you're going to a cold country, you need your flip-flops for the communal showers.
Yeah. Do you know what's really, really popular this year? I know. Are the Crocs.
Crocs, yeah, exactly. And Crocs if you want to be stylish.
Crocs are having their comeback. Amazed how many gappers are seen with their multicolored Crocs on.
Excellent. Yeah. I'm loving that. All right, well, listen, everybody, thanks so much for your time. I'm just going to go around the screen now and just ask you, Millie, just to read out your your website address, so people would know where you are.
Oh, okay. Yes, we are theleap.co.uk.
Perfect. Roger?
oysterworldwide.com.
And Trailfinders?
Trailfinders.com.
Really simple. Well, thanks so much for your time. It's been really, really great to meet you. And this is for a parent, not particularly worried about it, but I've got it all to come. I think we've got organisation to come. I'm pleased to know I'm not too late. That's great news. But thanks so much for all your comments, your helps, and your tips. Really lovely to meet you. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye bye.